in this instance, we are using a piece of legislation that isn't very often used, the pocket-tip legislation. For that reason, there is quite a lengthy preamble from which we quoted what we regarded as the most important sections in the pocket-tip matter dealing with this case. I will take my guidance from the court, my lord, whether we want me to deal with the preamble itself or can I go to the charges directly?
I don't have the units of the community would have seen the so
as the court pleases. The Director of Public Prosecutions for the area of the jurisdiction of the Western Cape prosecutes for and in the name of the state hereby informs the Honourable Court that Joslin Smith, a 31-year-old male person who resides at Middlepos, Saldanha Bay, Stefano Dwayne van Rijn, a 27-year-old male person who resides at 8 Iron Street, Pleas, Saldanha Bay, and Raquel Chantal Smith, a 33-year-old female person who resides at Middlepos, Saldanha Bay. Hereafter, called the accused. When I get to the general preamble, whereas Section 1 of the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act 7 of 2013, also referred to as the pocket-tip, as amended by the Judicial Matters Amendment Act 8 of 2017, includes the following relevant definitions. And the first definition is that of the abuse of vulnerability. For purposes of Section 4, subsection 1, means any abuse that leads a person to believe that he or she has no reasonable alternative but to submit to the exploitation, and includes but is not limited to taking advantage of the vulnerabilities of that person resulting from, and the most important and applicable subsections here are E, F, and G. E being a child, F the social circumstances, or G the economic circumstances. Child is defined as means a person under the age of 18 years. Exploitation includes but is not limited to A, all forms of slavery or practices similar to slavery. B, sexual exploitation. C, servitude. D, forced labour. E, child labour as defined in Section 1 of the Children's Act. F, the removal of body parts. Or G, the impregnation of a female person against her will for the purpose of selling her child when the child is born. Slavery is defined as reducing a person by any means to a state of submitting to the control of another person as if that other person were the owner of that person. And whereas Section 2 of pocket-tip deals with the interpretation of certain expressions. 1. For purposes of this Act, a person is regarded as having knowledge of a fact if A, that person has actual knowledge of the fact, or B, the court is satisfied that 1. The person believes that there is a reasonable possibility of the existence of that fact, and 2. The person has failed to obtain information to confirm the existence of that fact, and knows or knowing must be construed accordingly. Sub 2. For purposes of this Act, a person ought reasonably to have known or suspected a fact if the conclusions that he or she ought to have reached are those which would have been reached by a reasonably diligent and vigilant person, having both A, the general knowledge, skill, training, and experience that may reasonably be expected of a person in his or her position, and B, the general knowledge, skill, training, and experience that he or she in fact has. Sub 3, a reference in this Act to any Act includes construed accordingly. Whereas Section 4 of Factual deals with the offences of trafficking in persons, and in this instance, we're dealing with subsection 1. So, Section 4, subsection 1, any person who delivers, recruits, transports, transfers, harbours, sells, exchanges, leases, or receives another person within or across the borders of the Republic by means of a threat of harm, b, the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, c, the abuse of vulnerability, d, fraud, e, deception, f, abduction, g, kidnapping, h, the abuse of power, I, the direct or indirect giving or receiving of payments or benefits to obtain the consent of a person having control or authority over another person, or J, the direct or indirect giving or receiving of payments, compensation, rewards, benefits, or any other advantage aimed at either the person or an immediate family member of that person, or any other person in close relationship to that person, for the purpose of any form or manner of exploitation, is guilty of the offence of trafficking in persons. Then Section 10 of Factual deals with the involvement in offences under this chapter and is preferred as the alternative counts to count 1. So Section 10, subsection 1, any person who attempts to commit or performs any act aimed at participating in the commission of, and B, incites, instigates, commands, directs, aids, promotes, advises, recruits, encourages, or procures any other person to commit, or C, conspires with any other person to commit an offence under this chapter is guilty of an offence. Section 10, subsection 2, a person who is found guilty of an offence referred to in subsection 1 is liable on conviction to the penalties for the offence in question as provided for in section 13. And whereas section 11 of Factual deals with the liability of persons for offences under this chapter and is often loosely referred to as the defences section. Section 11, subsection 1. It is no defence to a charge of contravening section 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 that a child who is the victim of trafficking or a person having control or authority over a child who is the victim of trafficking has consented to the intended exploitation, or the action which was intended to constitute an offence under this chapter, or that the intended exploitation or action did not occur, even if none of the means referred to in section 4.1a to j have been used. Now therefore, the state alleges that the accused are guilty of the following offences. Count 1, trafficking in persons for the purpose of exploitation in contravention of the provisions of section 4, subsection 1, read with section 1, 2, 3, 11, 12, 13, sub 1, capital A, 14, 18, 29, 30, 36, and 48 of the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act 7 of 2013, as amended by the Judicial Matters Amendment Act 8 of 2017, further read with the provisions of section 1 and 120 of the Children's Act 38 of 2005, as amended, and further read with the provisions of sections 92, 94, 256, 257, 261, capital A, and 270 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977. Further, read with the provisions of sections 51, sub 1, and part 1 of Schedule 2 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act 105 of 1997 as amended. The first alternative to count 1 is the involvement in offences under Chapter 2 of the COCO tip in contravention of the provisions of Section 10, Sub 1, Capital A, read with the provisions of Section 4, Sub 1 of Chapter 2, and further read with the provisions of Sections 1, 2, 3, 10, Sub 2, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 29, 30, 36, and 48 of the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act 7 of 2013, as amended by the Judicial Matters Amendment Act 8 of 2017. Further read with the provisions of Section 1 and 120 of the Children's Act 38 of 2005 as amended. Further read with the provisions of Sections 92, 94, 256, 257, 261, capital A, and 270 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977 as amended. Further read with the provisions of Section 51, 1 and Part 1 of Schedule 2 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act 105 of 1997 as amended. The second alternative reads exactly the same, but for the section, it is Section 10, Sub 1, capital B. My Lord, in other words, the second alternative to Section 10. The third alternative, but let me read it first. Thank you. Sorry, my Lord, Indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. As the court please. Then there's the second count. Indeed, my Lord. That is the second count, which is count of kidnapping. I will then start now with the factual allegations. In that, on or about between 18 and 19 February 2024, an Atomia, Tirimatiti, Middlepos, Saldanha, in the sub-district of Saldanha Bay, within the district of the West Coast, held at Fredenburg, the accused unlawfully and intentionally, count 1, sold, accused 1, 2, 3, so it's 1, 2, and 3, sold, delivered, or exchanged another person, to wit, Joslin Smith, a 6-year-old female child, born on the 23rd of October 2017, within or across the borders of the Republic, by means of A threat of harm, B, the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, C, the abuse of vulnerability, D, fraud, E, deception, F, abduction, G, kidnapping, H, the abuse of power, I, the direct or indirect giving or receiving of payments or benefits to obtain the consent of a person having control or authority over another person, or J, the direct or indirect giving or receiving of payments, compensation, rewards, benefits, or any other advantage, aimed at either the person or an immediate family member of that person, or any other person in close relationship to that person, for the purpose of any form or manner of exploitation of Joslin Smith. That includes all forms of slavery or practices similar to slavery. The first alternative to count 1, accused 1 to 3, did attempt to commit or perform any act aimed at participating in the commission of an offence under this chapter with the trafficking in persons in contravention of Section 4.1 of Joslin Smith, as described in Count 1. Second alternative to Count 1, accused 1 to 3 did incite, instigate, command, direct, aid, promote, advise, recruit, encourage, or procure any other person to commit an offence under this chapter, to wit, the trafficking in persons in contravention of Section 4, subsection 1 of Joslin Smith, as described in Count 1. The third alternative to Count 1, accused 1 to 3 did conspire with any other person to commit an offence under this chapter, to wit, the trafficking in persons in contravention of Section 4, subsection 1 of Joslin Smith, as described in Count 1. And further, that the provisions of Section 51, subsection 1 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act 105 of 1997, as amended, relating to the discretionary minimum sentence of life imprisonment will apply, in that the accused committed the offence of trafficking in persons as provided for in Section 4.1 and involvement in the offences as provided for in Section 10 of the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act 7 of 2013 as amended. And then for the second count, in that on or about the 19th of February 2024, and at or near Middlepos, Saldanha, in the sub-district of Saldanha, within the district of the West Coast, out of Trendenburg, the accused did unlawfully and intentionally, count 2 is then kidnapping, accused 1 to 3 deprived Joslin Smith, a 6-year-old female child born on the 23rd of October 2017, of her freedom of movement and liberty to such an extent that her true whereabouts are still unknown to the state. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Is there any need for us to translate the chronology to your line?
My Lord, I confirm my appearance on behalf of accused 1. May I turn my back and forth, please?
Before I ask you whether and how you need to
Thank you. Indebted to your Lordship, client's instruction is that it's not necessary to translate it.
Thank you, my Lord. My client is Filipino, is Afrikaans speaking, and would love the charges to be interpreted into Afrikaans. As the court pleases.
Thank you, my Lord. Accused of Pleas indeed that she has application.
Mr. Lowe, so far as it relates to accused under 2. Now, you don't have to translate all the preambles up to page 6. The page is of 1. Can you just translate that because the beginning to go there?
Just the class of the school of Joslin Smith, so class of the school of Joslin Smith, so the consulate of the school, the name of Joslin Smith, assess the Dhamma, and what it means of a an area and the Republic, the vehicle of the dog, of person that person to remember the person to remember and afraid with Nampan Joslin, Joslin Smith. Where the clock, Mr. Objective and clock are the scholars here on the Joslin, can I give you just 5 minutes to translate 5 minutes? I was not translating. I just was accused person with some stuff which I won't be able to do, and I think it's just translate in my own time for me to read properly.
After we will resume, there won't be a tea break because we've lost enough time this morning. Court adjourned till 11:15. me, people are ignoring it. Yes, thank you, Mr. Blau. You need a microphone. Why is this only being done now? Why wasn't this done before? The parts that you have to read out starts at the bottom of page 6. Have you dealt with that with the prosecutor? So let's do that because the rest is quite easy. Meneer Van Ryn, kan u meneer Blau hoor? Want daar's klomp ongedisciplineerde mense wat nou nog instap en geraas maak. Mr. Blau, can you please use the microphone? Thank you, Mr. Blau. Now, firstly, to all three of the accused, before I ask you to plead to the charges, could somebody give Mr. Blau a microphone, please? So, Mr. Blau, I want you to interpret what I say into Afrikaans for all three of the accused. Mr. Apollos, you can sit so long. In respect of all three of the accused, insofar as it relates to count 1 and the alternatives thereto, you would have noted that the prosecution included in the indictment the provisions of Section 51(1) of the Criminal Law Amendment Act, otherwise known as the Minimum Sentences Act. That means that the state will ask this court to impose life imprisonment in the event that you are convicted of count 1 or any of the alternates thereto. Now I'm going to start with accused number 3, Ms. Smith. Did you understand that caution? She nods. Mr. Van Rijn, he nods. Mr. Apollos, and now Mr. Apollos, you can stand. So count number 1, the main count. What do you plead to that charge? You already indicated not guilty. And the first alternative to count 1, what is your plea? Not guilty. I can hear Mr. Apollos, and I can see that he says not guilty, hence I'm just repeating it, as people behind him won't be able to hear or see what he says. And the first alternative? And the second alternative, Mr. Apollos? Not guilty. Third alternative? Not guilty. And then count 2, the kidnapping charge. What is your plea? Not guilty. Thank you, Mr. Apollos. You may be seated. Mr. Van Rijn, will you please stand? What do you find so amusing, Mr. Van Rijn? What do you find so amusing? Wat vind jy so snaaks? So, count 1. What do you plead? Onskuldig, not guilty. First alternative. Second alternative. Third alternative. Count 2, the kidnapping charge. Thank you, Mr. Van Rijn, you may be seated. Ms. Smith, count 1, what do you plead? First alternative. Second alternative. Third alternative. Count 2. Thank you, you may be seated. Mr. Harmse, Before you start, we had a discussion in chambers this morning between myself and counsel for the state and counsel for the defense that the formal plea explanations will only be handed in tomorrow morning, as it needs to be properly typed up and canvassed with the accused. So is there anything else you would like to add now in terms of section 115 of the code? Thank you. Ms. Makabai. Thank you. Mr. Sivnarayan.
Thank you, Lord. I do confirm that the plea of the special court judges is in accordance with my instructions and the one
Thank you. Ms. Swanepoel, it's 11:29. I plan to adjourn for lunch between 1 and 2. So you can call your first witness. Just use the microphone. As you know, the acoustics is not that well in this room.
Become impossible to be able to write and have a microphone and legally listen. Now I'm ready, but I think
you have a junior or assistant that can also take notes or assist you with a microphone. In fact, once the witness testifies, is the witness going to testify in English or Afrikaans? In English. And then Mr. Blau will translate it into Afrikaans. So you close to the witness, then you can give the microphone to Mr. Blau, and then he'll use that microphone. Thank you. Can you say Tosa? Okay. Yes, thank you. You may call the witness.
Thank you. Just for the purposes, we have supplied through the registrar with an update with the services that was supplied to the defense electronically, and it was electronically a week or so ago, when we supplied them with the hard copy, meaning that there were 2 weeks number of witnesses designated. For Constable Longwater.
So that's witness number 90.
And it's Constable number Longwater. For legal purposes, G-O-N-E-O-T-H-A.
Yes, thank you. Where's the witness? Does the stenographer have a witness list? Yes. Mr. Blau, you will interpret the oath. Let me first hear from the witness. Do you wish to testify in English or in isiXhosa? All right, so then the registrar will administer the oath and Mr. Blau will do his thing. Thank you. Joslin, just take the microphone there on the defense table and give that to Mr. Blau. Then maybe that will sort out the problem.
Thank you. Mr. Gongota, you are a constable in the South African Police Service. Is that correct?
That's right, no.
Can you please have a look at your station?
Just one moment. Just one moment. Just one moment, please. Mr. Gongota, do you understand the question in English? Mr. Gongota, when the prosecutor asks you the question in English, do you understand the question? Now we need to find a way of getting the answer on record, but also for the accused to be able to follow the proceedings. Mr. Harmse, does your client need the English to be translated into Afrikaans as well? Can all the, what will be the nature of this evidence, Ms. Swanepoel?
Background as to the disappearance.
Not implicating any of the accused.
Not implicating.
So can counsel just take instructions? If Mr. Blau translated from isiXhosa into English, whether they also need the translation into Afrikaans, having regard to what Ms. Swanepoel has just informed the court.
My instructions to the accused, one is that he doesn't need it translated into Afrikaans, he understands the English.
He understands the English. Yeah, just take instructions, please. And then maybe during the lunch break or this afternoon, you can take instructions on the rest of the witnesses for the week. No, that wasn't the question. The question was whether he wants it translated into Afrikaans. I've been told it's formal evidence. He will not be implicated in the evidence. Not whether he understands a little bit, but whether he wants it translated into Afrikaans. That was the question. He wants them. Good, we can do that. So we don't then have to hear you, Mr. Sivnarayan. Your client doesn't. Mr. Van Rijn requires that, so we'll do it for you. So it means we'll do from isiXhosa into English and then English Afrikaans, and then the next question will be asked for the benefit of Mr. Van Rijn.
How long service do you have in the You are now searching at the flying squad, but when did you go to the flying squad?
I started in the last year because I'm very
So, where were you before then?
I was in Saldanha Bay, it was 4. Saldanha Bay,
This includes visible policing during routine checks in vehicles, correct? On the 19th of February 2024, working on duty. What shift were you working? And who was your colleague with you? Can you please tell us what happened that night when you were served on duty?
Just one moment, Ms. Running. Is that Constable Kubese that is spelled K-O-B-E-S-E? E-E-S-E. I have a person on the list of witnesses, number 89, Luzuko Kobese. Is that the person? Now the reason I'm asking is merely for the transcribers, so that we have the surname spelled correctly in the record. So, Ms. Swanepoel, as we go along, if a person is on the list of witnesses, you might just also add in for the record, for record purposes. It's the witness at that space. So when the transcribers transcribe, you don't have so many corrections in the record. Thank you. Yes, certainly. I should have asked him. That applies to all the witnesses that is being called. You can tell them if once they're sworn in and they want to be seated, it's fine. Mr. Adams.
I apologize, mate. Just to remind me,
Noted. Yes, thank you, Ms. Swan.
Thank you. So, you basically want you to drive in the land as marked vehicle, is that correct?
Yes, I'm not.
My apologies, my lord. I don't hear the word. Even from my benefit, I don't know whether it's because of the fraud or it's because of the mind. You don't hear the word sir. I don't hear the word. I don't know what the benefit for you.
My lord, one more time.
So, there was a request that you try and keep the microphone closer, Mr. Blanche. Just do a test. Let's hear whether counsel can hear. Just, did you hear that when you said noted?
You can hear from Mr. Brown, but from my electronic from the state, you don't hear the questions.
All right.
will do my best. Can I just correct something?
No, just to say here.
If I heard you correctly, you're referring to Middlepos, but the council has said Middlepos. So, can I ask that the witness please just repeat his last
Middlepos.
Can you please repeat your last
They reacted to a complaint received in an area called Middlepos. Why must he repeat the answer? Good.
We received a complaint that a child was lost in a place in Middlepos in the dialogue. On the department found the third was lost in a place in the dialogue in Middlepos.
What did you do as a result of this complaint?
Generally, the person of the years I know. Once it's like a see you out, this would then go out. When I left the place to be dialogue, they then popped up and now the dialogue. Big answers to stop. 2 legs stop as well. One was across the building and another was a curve. Across the leg is in the head. We are down, across the field, close down the field and start. There was a 8 pound Then the colored lady came closer, clearly the dama to now football. Itu pun selesai dan musim feminisme van die werker was a kind vermis. When she came to us and told us that when she came from work, the child was born. She don't know where the child went to.
Thank you, Mother. Well, I'm just pointing out that the witness is going to give evidence regarding what was said to him by another person. It is hearsay, unless on the basis that he's saying what somebody else has told him. I think he's going to learn from somebody else and do the if that witness is not going to come give evidence from this, Mr. Harris, are you not jumping the gun? We don't know at this although I can specifically what the activity of the person who said that. Because he is accused with their necessity. If it is not presented for the truthfulness of content thereof, it doesn't fall in the definition of hearsay. Let the witness conclude that there is something to still make it.
What is that? It's not on the ground. We're lifting it up.
provisions of Section 3, particularly 3.1c of the Evidence Amendment, where I have the evidence, even if it was yes on a provisional basis. I'm aware of that. Hence I'm saying I think you don't know that. Wait till the raise the objection later. I think it will. So that everybody has a microphone. I will note when an objection is raised, I will ask for microphone. And please, this microphone seems to be sensitive. Please don't accept it in the Thank you, Ms. Swansea.
Thank you.
So the one person came and told the constable of his colleague that which he came back from work, the child was trying to take a step back, seeing the God on the side and then when did you see that it seemed that they were having what do you mean by that?
From the house they were coming from, asking who said that they were self-committed at Mudarwin, I said, Vanessa, but was formed. Masik gespeel en was klomp baie mense binne buite gewees. Music was playing and then there was a lot of people outside. Sy comes in once and the Pangban, who said that she came to us to the police van, and the Xhosa lady turned back. And the Xhosa lady was the Dana to Terasa Lady. That's when she told us she can't find this baby, she can't find the child since she came from work. Her child was absent, that's it for missing. And the boyfriend she left with the child at home when she went to work. And Terry was saying, when the big concern after the date, he said, "Yeah, to us."
Just stop, please.
Did you know this lady that you were speaking to?
Did you know the lady? At that stage, my lady didn't know who the lady was when she spoke to us. But daar is daar die mensen toch weer die dame was, ze met ons praten.
Did you determine her identity?
Was er ook een banning? Not at that stage, after she told us who she was.
Yes.
Daar is daar die mensen toen ze ook gezegd is.
So who did she say she was?
Wat had they come She said she was Kaylee, stays in city. She says Kaylee is very tipsy. Kaylee is. Kelly stays in city.
And did she tell you who the child was that was missing?
Did she tell you? Because I said because name is Joslin. She told us the child's name is Joslin.
This lady that you were speaking to there, and I told you that she was Kelly. Did you know her surname?
Her name is just an hour to Kelly. At that stage, she didn't tell us her surname.
She just gave you the name Kelly.
Only coming to help her. So she found her Kelly with Nampan Kelly.
Will you be able to identify this lady if you see her again?
Yes.
Can you please have a look and see if you can see her or identify her? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we can accept. It is accused number 3.
Singapore Mama Listat. What time is Minister? Third one on that side, Mama. The other person
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so she told you the child was missing.
Yes. They
Now you can proceed.
Then we ask us to where to leave the child, and the court for us said it can collapse. Then she told us that when she went home, she left the child with her boyfriend she stayed with. What we have as it was said, it's a tendency to make a real collapse, so what we have to us. We asked as to when last did you see the boyfriend who left with the child? Only to the problem, and the last said, "Take care of the scene." That's a medical collapse. That's when we asked her to accompany us to go where she left the child with the boyfriend. On the program, someone was the car, on the base bar saying, and Carol and Kalata. On the way, we asked, we wanted to know as to who the boyfriend's name was. The photographer did now find Carol's. When she answered us, she said, it's Buddha. She said, now from Buddha here. Once we arrived at this place where we were residing, when we arrived, there was no one at this place. Then we wanted to know from here, where does she usually play? Where does she usually play? The child usually played. The spiel. Ons praat op haar verder wie is die kind se maat wat sy moet met speel. We wanted to know from here who the other peers or the other children the child plays with. That's when she told us that the child usually plays with children residing in this opposite house. Safety also said the kind speelt moeilijk met kinders, dit voor haar reis. That's when we asked her to let us go to the place where she was in place. They get to the France and Assam. Once we work on that, for our woman, we went to the house in front of their house. On arrival, we knocked, there was a clock and the was unformed. The person had to go come out because a man was going to come out and say his name was Rasta. The person opened and then he named himself Rasta.
Stop though, sorry, just hang on a second please. This conversation that you were going to have with this person is just to determine the whereabouts of Joslin, is that correct?
That's correct, it's actually
My Lord, I ask that that will be provisionally allowed if needs be, we can leave that evidence. I don't suspect that this is going to be in dispute. Can I just ask you, up until this stage, accused number 3, when you saw her, met her, and now you're going to this house, what is her demeanor?
Ngeli xa ke ndisiya kule ndawo ke anichazelanga loo ukuze yakhe ibonakala yakhe injani kuba kanje into njani
ngela xesha sihamba
as we were going with them, it appeared like someone was worried as to she can't find your child. So before we come up say jadi itu kok masa person dok kawan tu, sebab rumah ada jadi pada masa panikan.
My Lord, I will lay the basis before
Before you read the evidence of the
as the Lord pleases, my Lord.
Thank you. With due respect, my lord, the mic that is provided for the witness is not working. We don't hear the evidence from the witness. We solely depend on the interpretation by Mr. Brown. My suggestion is Mr. Brown shares his microphone with the witness when the witness is speaking, as the court pleases.
That's the result of the whole line.
Yes, it is. That's working. Yeah.
Mr. Kumbota, I was specifically referring only to your observations. When you looked at Kelly, case number 3, and you spoke to her that night, what did you see?
What I saw at that stage, observed that stage, my lord, but I seen it. State the common for as a person, but confirm us I think. She didn't appear like someone who's worried about the vanishing of the child.
But how do you get to that? What did you see?
Between 6 and 7 years now. 6 years now. From the first instance, I started looking into complaints.
As the court pleases. And have you, before this, ever attended a complaint with a missing person?
Yes, there was.
And how did the next of kin appear in those cases?
This is alone to get in some instances of children that you miss now, some instances when the complainant would come and ask and tell us about the child got lost, the person would come to us hurriedly and would want us to quickly come to his aid. In some instances where we come across such complaints, not rare. That the person who wanted to know more about the person who was looking after the child. Where is the person who was out with the child at the stage when the child was lost? This instance is when a person comes and reports a missing child. The first thing is to speak about the missing child. Not the person who might get minded or looking after the child.
I really did not understand what you were trying to say.
The superintendent really I came out of the start with it. The most important thing from her was for us to get hold of the person who was looking after the child, not the child. The boyfriend, not the child. It's a way boyfriend and not. Yes, Lord.
Jesus, my Lord. Did you observe any emotions, showing of emotion?
No, I couldn't observe any emotions. Secondly, Moses, Dr. Mason, said, we are very careful to practice fun. You cannot services.
Thank you. So I understand you went to this one house where it is said Joslin plays with the children, and it's a person called Rasta that opened the door. Could you get any positive information from them?
The male person named Rasta said the following. He said he doesn't know. But she said he can confirm from the lady who was inside the house. Because she was at home during the day. So it was very nice to be dark. So very dark. Why is it? The dame was the lady was to perform. The lady was inside the house and then came out. She explained. First, yes, I saw them during the day working in front of the house. So if you could take it, say it's interesting, but it will make it scary. In the company of the other child, of their children. She proceeded and saying after that she never saw her again. Say together to say another that's in the beer. The time when we was doing inquiries, then load shedding started.
Can I just interrupt you once again? When you say that you drove around, does that mean that it is now you, Kobese,
That's correct, my lord. That's correct. That was at himself, Professor and Kelly.
And do you know what time load shedding started that night?
Load shedding, 10 o'clock, the load shedding started. We have got our TV that and begun.
Alright, so when load shedding started, what did you do?
We can't look to the load shedding, and then when load shedding started, it became dark. We went down to the wall. We ran on the crack. Then we asked for any other place where the child might go to. Wanted to prepare the because I didn't underplay by the term wanted in Kahan. She said she usually goes to her auntie who stays in Deersville. So to tell the person that it doesn't go in our auntie in Deersville place. Once she played back, she said, she went to this place where she said the child usually goes to. To a street with the name of Restless Way. The Restless Way.
Restless Way.
Restless Way.
Did all of you go to that street?
No, many of us the three of us, my lord, myself, Professor and Kelly. Once the departments are some, myself, Professor and Kelly.
Yes.
On arrival, because it was dark, we knocked. Toen daar opdacht, en het is donker was, het was een klok. A chubby lady opened. She was speaking in Afrikaans. Dame opgemaakt, but in Afrikaans gepraat. When she opened, she recognized Kelly in our presence. It was what part of the concept for Kelly, and it was the What that was gepraat, Kelly gepraat, ik kunt daar was, ik kunt daar gekomen. Before we could speak, then Kelly wanted to know, will the child go and come to a place? Then there was some sort of a quarrel between Kelly and the auntie in Afrikaans. There was a brother person between the auntie and Kelly. Since the person I'm working with is not familiar with Afrikaans, and myself, I only hear now, here and there. It was working from Afrikaans and wanted to do that. It appeared to us, my lord, during this quarrel between Kelly and the auntie, it appears the auntie was not happy with the Kelly leaving the child with the boyfriend. What was so interesting, the auntie was to report that Kelly with Karen Latin.
Can I ask you, do you recall the name of this auntie?
At this stage, no, my lord, because everything happened quite fast. Ongelukkig kan ik niet zijn naam onthouden, want alles is vinnig gebeurd.
My lord, there are two witnesses living in the same street, Kelly and Garland Zegers. I have an idea which one it is, but this evidence will be led at a later stage. They do appear on the list of state witnesses. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the auntie wasn't happy with the fact that Kelly had left the child.
Untuk anda boleh nak yakin Kelly, di mana pasal orang dengan ikan kau Kelly sendiri dengan boyfriend. Di mana perempuan kalau dia akan Kelly dengan suatu misal, lawan kalau anda dengan ikan dan Kelly sendiri dengan boyfriend. Yes, that's correct. She didn't like the fact that she left the child with the boyfriend. So it was not a lot of way that didn't make voice with her after the land was.
But she was not there either.
But then I get the child was not there either, my lord. It was for the other reason.
So what did you do then?
Then told me about Then we said to them to go ahead and go to the station where we're working. We took some support and some hope that started to raise our prayer. The reader for that is that the aircraft is signaling. It says that there is for us, people going there, and there's no signal. As inside the aircraft.
That's no signal for?
Signal for us to communicate with the people at the station.
Through the radio?
The radio. Through the radio, my lord. Geen signals zodat ons met de mensen met kan praten.
Ja.
We went back to the station, ons is terug naar de statie. We collected all documents concerning a lost child. The other document we must article and so-called purposes.
Can I just stop you again? What happened to Kelly?
Kelly now what's it like? We left at Auntie's house at the restless way. And the aftergelaten man says the restless way.
Alright, you collected the documents? That's including the SAP 55, correct?
Alle documenten die met elkaar gekleed, SAP 55 also. De SAP 55 wat andere documenten aan doen.
Nee.
We went back to the auntie's house where we left Kelly. Het was terug naar huis, waar we Kelly gelaten. We asked her as to the boyfriend to let the child be where does he reside. Want het wordt gevraagd, die kerel wat in de kinderen gelost heeft, waar is hij woonachtig? She said he's staying in Muslim Street in Deersville. She said, toen zei ik woonachtig de Deersville en Muslim Straat. Sy het gesê
Maasdam straat. M-A-S-D-A-M. Maasdam straat. In Deersville. Thank you, Lord. Can I just make sure, so from the CSC, from the charge office, did you go straight back to Restless Way?
Actually, when you pay on the police station, then I'm Restless Way. That's correct, my lord. It's just a lot of Restless Way, my lord, from the police station.
And did you then collect Kelly there again?
That's correct, my lord. Kelly from Kreda.
And who is it that you asked where the boyfriend that is Buddha, where he stays?
We was about Bishalati. We asked that from Kelly. The Kelly from him,
And she told you Marsdam Street.
That's Marsdam Street. That's correct, my lord. She said Marsdam Street. It was said Marsdam Street.
And then?
What in Bago? We went to this address where Buddha was residing. On the student click of Buddha Bay. On arrival, we knocked, Uncle Tom and went on to the clock. 2 o'clock, the dame will come out. Whilst knocking, a lady opened. Then I asked Mr. whether that's Buddha's right here. I get people try of Buddha that immediately. The dame took us from West Arais and after that. The lady showed us a house at the back and asked us to go knock on this door. On the Arais and after that, we went to the house at the back. But the deep beer house had a net. We knocked at this house and the clock on the Arais. A dame from Bennett and Utahir. When we knocked, a lady from inside answered. Then our question was that does Buddha reside here? On the crowd, Buddha are they? But you dame only put market. This lady wouldn't open market. But there was don't have to be a sentence in here crowd. It was still dark, it was a low check. The answer from inside to ask my lord that he doesn't reside there anymore. The other funny dame van Bernard to say that in your dad will ask us. You will only come to the house to have something to eat. Hij zal net een race komen, iets te kunnen eten. Dan gaan we weer weg. Then we would leave again. Then we went back to the house where they are residing.
Who's the they?
Myself, Obes and Kelly.
No, sorry. My question wasn't clear. You say they went back to the house where they are residing. My question is, who are the they?
Where Kelly and Buddha were residing. But Kelly and Buddha stand for one. On arrival there, my lord, the man comes down. Then we observed a male person standing outside. Was it a man's social in Pakistan? He had a backpack with a rucksack. Take us to Naon. I went to my lord and introduced myself and tell him who I was. I let him on the bus. I did the same he was saying I was. Then my next question was that what are you looking for here? What must you know here?
Stop. When you say he also introduced himself to you, who did he introduce himself as?
And it was cousin, I will wait, what's your name? He said his name was Nilo.
That's a nickname of one of the witnesses. I'm just trying to find his name on the list of state witnesses. If the court will just bear with me for a second. I'm sorry, my lord. I'll provide the full name once I have it, but it is a person who is a state witness and the state doesn't tend to call. His nickname is Milo. If the court will allow me, please, to proceed. All right, so you found this person. He said he is Milo. And?
That's the Melo, it appeared that Kelly in our presence also knows this person. But the court come as of Kelly and uncertain. Some ones pass the Kelly password. She said, this is one of the people our parents to put up. Saito says it's an infant who was a premium. I asked him as to where Buddha was. Then last week, he said, as far as home, last week, Buddha to see. He said at that stage, he doesn't know where he was. That moment, he will say, anything about it, I won't be passing. We further asked him as to, did he see child of Joslin, Kelly's child named Joslin? On Friday, they need to know from Joslin from Kelly. He said no, like it was said here. We asked Kelly for the birth certificate of the child, on the proper Kelly of the other waters, the card was obtained. She opened the house in which they were residing. They spoke to my father for the woman. I'm just in the donker bus because the floods gebrek om los te maak vir die boodskap te gaan. What since it was dark and we was torches to light right to get the birth certificate. Why is the man they took a crate, she got hold of the birth certificate. We went back to the vehicle which we were traveling in. Instead of the food prison, continue while standing outside this vehicle, it was not bigger, we put it aside. To fill in the forms which you brought with us, and we forms Interpol that was a common. There were people passing since there was a shopping close by. Mensen places established in a place by the Franco. Why are you see Adamo? What gebeurt er? Op wat is ze op zoek naar? Alleen wanted to know what they're looking for. We told her that we are looking for a child who got missing. But the census is not attended for misses. We gave her a child named as Joslin, and it was now connected to say as Joslin. She said, I saw the child the other day playing around here. Say to herself, you can go to see that, but I can just feel it. When we wanted a name, she refused to give us a name. Ons van vraag voor haar naam, ze zou weer van de naam te geven. Then it was like walking. We had to aangestapt. There was ook mensen aan ons nabij. There were people around us. Yes, we tried about to fill in the forms, but the officer was in the form to way. Why you want to Milo said for once, Milo said the following to us. Then he said there's a place there we usually hang out in Kalmaki Street. Thank you for saying to me. Milo said to us, "Play one of the Egan and Kalmaki Street." That stage, it was still dark, but the truck because of the truck. Once the photos still transport the effect to come to the hospital and medical. Then he suggested let us go quickly to this place, probably to the might be there with a child. On arrival at this house in Tamaki Street, when the arrived was uncommonly Tamaki Street days, we knocked at the door at the house in front, and there is a couple, but four of us. When we observe further, we realize that there's a shack at the back. The place opened on an obstacle after coming to the place.
Can I just ask you something? This house in Talmakis Street that you are visiting, in which area is that?
It's a little bit maybe tell when we are Talmakis Street. It is in the area of Diasville. It is in Diasville area. Talmakis Street will be in Diasville area. Kalamanis and Kalamanis. Kalamanis and Kalamanis. It's Kalamanis, Kalamanis, C-A-L, and then M-A-S-A-I-S.
My lord, also according to the affidavit, it's just Talmakis, but it's got a double K. So it's Talmakkis. I don't know if that's necessarily the correct spelling, but that's the spelling that's in the affidavit. Yes. I do see that, my lord. I don't know whether that is as I say, I'm not 100% sure as to the correct spelling of the street's name, but that is also not the witness. This is Irvin. It's another witness. It's not the one that I was referring to. My lord. Yes, my lord. I don't know whether that witness stays in that street, but as I understand the evidence, the witness my lord, we drafted this. I do apologize, my lord. I will make sure, once we adjourn, I will determine the correct spelling of the street. Thank you. Right. So, now you are the house in Dalmarki Street. You knock at the front, the big house outside the house. What happens?
No answer was received from the house in front. Geen ander was gevind van probeer die deel die spoor. Then we proceeded to the shack at the back. Ons is toe agterna die opslaan die huis toe. Before we reached this shack, a man appeared and ran away towards the place where there were bushes. Op 'n man was net op verskyn en halfbare bosse was. When we entered this shack at the back, we found the inside the shack. Toen daar en er is ingaan achter in de achterplaats, het ons moet erin gekry. Then we picked up the smell that there was smoking inside. Dat toen gelijk dat hulle gerook het op die stadium. When we entered, Kelly went quickly when she saw Buddha. Toen ons ingaan het, Kelly vinnig na Buddha gaan sy opgesien het. The way it happened, I became surprised. I was verbaasd door het zien. When we saw her, when she observed Buddha, she became a different person. And the person was worried when she reported the child which was missing. She was a person of skilled format to say Buddha sin. As poor to say, Oma was very good at promises. Whilst Evans checked at the back of his house, my lord, she asked him about guests who was supposed to go feeding during the day. It was an illegal he was at the house that he comes from Philip. Although we couldn't make out as to what others thought we were talking about because we were using Afrikaans. Alhoewel ons alles tot uitmaak omdat in Afrikaans gepraat.
Can I just ask you, when you say that she was now different from the person she was earlier, what do you mean? What did you see? How is she different?
Eu sei que não sou que eu não quero ver nada se vê tanto para nani, só para o motivo. Mas eu fui deixar. Dentro da hora que eu vou na her appearance became as the person who was at ease when she saw Buddha. She was She was at ease when she saw Buddha.
Did she ask about Joslin?
At that stage, no, my lord. Op daar stadium meneer, die pak getrouwd Joslin. Sy die pak getrouwd Joslin.
Yes, so she asks him about gas that he should have refilled.
Who's that gas? Yes, she asked about gas. He was supposed to go. Sy het hom gevra oor gas wat hy moes gaan inhaal en lei.
Is that all?
When I was there. At that stage, yes. Daar stadium is af.
Okay, so what happened then?
Wat sien jy maar wou? Whilst they were talking, my lord, I intervened. And I wanted to know from Buddha, when last did you see the child? Well, look, this was with the fact that the ander bedoel gesien.
While publicly
Uta said that they were sitting there with his friends smoking. He said to all of us, after we started woke up and said, he says, while they were smoking, the child was playing in front of the house. He said to whoever was because this was the whole little baby, they so slow. I wanted to know from him who are his friends who were in company with. I got to go for and but we thinking about the sales covers.
Maybe we can just first determine before you get to the friends. Who is this Buddha?
One of them. At that stage, he was going to put up. At the later stage, then I came to know this Jacqueline Apollos. Jacqueline Apollos.
I don't know if that is going to be in dispute, my lord. The identity.
My lord, what's going to be in dispute? I'm trying to hear what you I will only be able to indicate what is in dispute once I've consulted with my client regarding the evidence and get fully behind what he's actually saying at this stage. It's a little bit confusing, but I'll wait for the end when I cross-examine him.
The witness encountered known as Buddha. That's the only question. Whether that is going to be disputed, that it means number one. Your objection as to I will only decide about the subject to what the witness testifies further. It's confusing to me. It wasn't even or not. I think it will dispute the state has to take along with. If it wasn't that responsibility, then they don't have to go along with. What are your instructions?
Well, the fact that accused one, Nick and his Buddha, is not in dispute. The fact that the witness said that he encountered Buddha, that's his evidence. It will be cross-examined and when he encountered him is uncertain at this time.
He says on the matter question, they visited this place in Proceedings, whichever one of the three companies he and the gentleman came on. He was a gentleman that was questioned by use of the fee as to why he didn't leave the gas system was closed so badly. And the explanation of the question is going to be the student of this witness spoke to forget about what was said, but the individual that is there.
In terms of my instructions, it will be put to the witness on the cross-examination that he didn't encounter accused one, that is Buddha, at Telemarket Street, any time that time.
Is there evidence that's going to be disputed? The next statement.
Would you be in a position to identify the person that you described as Buddha, that you later became, that you know is known as Joslin Smith? Would you be able to identify him?
Lumpo ke wasit yang dagang untuk Jacqueline Apollos. Wasn't formal kan mas. Yes, I will be able to position my law. this one here complete again.
Could you please look around and see if you see this person that you describe as Buddha?
It is the first one in the white t-shirt.
For the record, my lord, the witness points out, well, they both have white t-shirts, but the first one, closest to the left, on the left-hand side, is accused number one.
First one. Babili ngiyabateka ngibona phayana esiphakathi nabasehlukile oqala kwesibhedlela Jordan iyo ngezansi inqinekele ukuthi page kwesibili ke umuntu esikhopha kwa nemnyama lo is Jordan. It is the one wearing the t-shirt Jordan. It's in Jordan one. This one is the person wearing the t-shirt Jordan.
Thank you, my lord. Okay, so then Buddha says to you, Buddha, accused number one, says to you, he was sitting there smoking with his friends. Did he say who the friends were?
He said the one was Renz, that is a lady. Stefano was also his friend, the other one. Stefano is a person.
Just so that there's no confusion, because you were telling us about smoking in this room in Dalmaki Street. Is this what you are referring to? That they were smoking, this Renz and Stefano were with him smoking in Dalmaki Street? Or
no.
So just explain to us what it is exactly that you say.
They were smoking at this house where he and Kelly are residing. That's certain road where he is Kelly sound today.
What kind of house is that?
It's a small shack.
And when would this have been?
That
they were smoking?
Because of the child. During the day before the child disappeared.
Thank you.
Dag voortaan vermissers. Dit is haar woord.
Yes, you may continue.
Nou, kom ik dan weer. We wanted to know from him, where does these people reside who you said were smoking with? Not from Barbara, anything else, but in the work ethic.
Why was the only
We said the other one stays in the shack area, close to the house where they are residing. The other one resides here in Joslin, and the street name Arns Street. Then we wanted to know from him who among these people stays close to the house where the two of you are residing. Then he said it is a lady with the name of Renz who stays close by where they are staying. Hy het toe gesê die persoon wat naby hulle is huis bly waarin een dame gelijk leer, dat is dame die naam van Rens. The father continues and say, while he was looking inside the house, he said to Pedro to the was in the road and Joslin said, he said to that, answer to Joslin the Peter spirit, like a reality for Joslin the road. He says, while Joslin was praying, then Rens called her. Then Rens sent Joslin to go and look for a child which she left at home sleeping. Sy het toe vir Joslin gevra om te gaan kyk na kind wat sy gewees agtergelaat het geslaap het. He said after that he never saw Joslin coming back again. Hy said toe na dat die weet of Joslin gesien terugkom. That's when we asked him let us go together to this house where Rens was residing. We went ons was naar de high school waar Rens woonachtig was. On arrival at this place where Rens was residing, it's close by where Uta and Kelly are staying in the shack area.
And who all went there?
This page was myself, Kelly, and Nilo. We were driving in double cab Baki. It was in a double cab Baki for this. It was myself, Kelly, Uta, Nilo, and Kobese. On arrival at this place, it was not yet electricity back yet. Toen ons aankwam was het nog niet terug, het was nog donker. We arrived and then to point out the house where Rens was residing. Met een aankomst het dat deze echt geweest waar Rens gebleven. We went and I knocked, so there is to the clock. A man's voice inside answered. A man's stemmed to and Bernard Andrew. Toe vraag ik ons wat een zoek aangezien onze omgezend als politie. He wanted to know from us what are we looking for since we told him that we were the police. When he came and opened the door, he took a moment to go come up. I told him who I was. He said his name was Ayanda. I said his name is Ayanda. I told him that we're here looking for someone who has no friends. I said before my sister, ons op zoek naar persoon met naam van Rens. He said yes, she was driving there, which is someone who was staying with us as his lover. I told him, I said, very soon, I learned very some as the person of the Middlepos. Then he called Rens, who was in the bedroom inside his house. I took for Rens to room, but when he was in the camera, Rens toe op 'n dag gespreek van wanneer as dit die kind Joslin gesien, wanneer laas. When last did you see Joslin when you were Rens? Can you ask us when last did you see Joslin? Then she answered that we were sitting together, myself and Buddha and the others were smoking during the day. Joslin was playing outside, was Joslin at Bakersfield. I called, she said she called him and asked her to go look at the child who was left at home asleep. Sy het gesê sy moet gaan na die huis waar sy afgevraagd het geslaap het.
uthi azange kumntu.
Then she said she never saw her kid coming back again.
Saye safika ukungena ngaphakathi sijonga abantu.
Then we asked permission to go inside the house to search. But we thought the problem was people out of on the Instagram with their soup.
Kwanjengoba sasicela ukungena ngaphakathi kwakhona indlela phakathi kokudla no-ayakhe nokuhlala apha nomlilo ukuba why kusemamisa endlini yakhe.
There was no analysis on Khantir. When we entered the house, my lord, saw there was now some quarrel between Buddha, Ayala, and Milo. That's what was the reason for them bringing the police to my house. Two on top of was an Antikan, Australia, Buddha, Milo, and Ayala. And they were going to bring the police as a issue.
Njengoba nangaphakathi sisekameni lojona.
Since I was inside the house, going inside the bedroom to look, well, I mean, aangezien ek 'n mens was in die kamer moet gaan kyk.
Lona niphelele comments why wazama ukuthula wathi ukudla nomlilo ngekhethi mabamele kuqalele.
Whilst I was inside, then Kobe said in between them, and then he asked Buddha and Milo, and Buddha and Milo, and Kelly must stand aside, away from Ayana. He was not based upon star. At 8 to Kobe said are to for Kelly and Milo and Buddha in terms of. I went inside the house in the company of friends. On the bed, I saw a child, a small child. Look, and his hand went around, it was a clinical to be discussing. Then the friend said, the child on the bed sleeping was here. Six people asked them, we went to sleep. Well, since we're looking around, we couldn't find Joslin. Joslin wasn't there. There was one thing, once we also not trained. We went back to the vehicle to traveling in. We took the reporters and barnes on Teresa.
My Lord, I just wanted to ask one question and then we can move on if you'll allow. Indeed, my Lord. May I please just, at the time when you were there, was there any conversation taking place between Kelly and the Rens?
Ngeli tani phayana ngabe khona ngoke lapho phakathi koKelly noRens. I didn't take note when there was there such talking to the Rens and Kelly since it was very fast. One object of the spell process in Kelly and Rens and just alles van gebeur.